It's kind of funny because when I started this journey, I really didn't realize what I was getting myself into, and just this far into it, it's already exceeded and blown away any expectations I ever could have had. One Piece, Chapter 237, High in the Sky. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome adventure-ridden tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with really just, you know, the knock-up stream being fully explored, and really the volume and the chapter itself leaving off on kind of a cliffhanger as they were going and actually sailing straight up in the air, up this current of water. And honestly, it kind of had fooled me because I was assuming that it was like this geyser that would go and push them up and somehow land them up on there. But I mean, they were sailing that sumbitch straight up. So so that's how the chapter left off over there, just kind of, you know, left us hanging. Blackbeard's ship looked like, as they were, of course, approaching them, looked like it was blown apart as well. And we weren't sure about what the fate was of them. So here we are. We've made it to volume number 26. And this one looks pretty cool. Looks like Nami changes outfits over there. Zoro puts on a different shirt. Looks as if Chopper's having fun drinking out of some large drink, I guess, fruit melon drink thing. I don't know. Luffy, of course, is excited and happy as always, and we're looking forward to diving right in. So this one was definitely a cool one because, well, first off, it goes in and it shows us a couple of pages of Blackbeard's crew, and their ship was blown apart. They're all they're all sitting, all four of them, and the horse, Doc Q's horse. They're all sitting, you know, having gotten themselves out of the water, I guess, and are sitting on one of the logs, you know, that made up this giant ship of his, and they all kind of just have their little thing about, you know, oh man, we lost him. You know, Burgess is like the grappler. He's like, oh man, we lost him and this and that, you know, and that's a shame. And Blackbeard says, don't worry about it. You know, we're all on the Grand Line here. We'll run into him sooner or later, you know. And then it's kind of cool how the whole thing just works out, because then the sniper guy, and I forget his name right now, I'm sure it'll come to me, but when I least expect it. But then he goes and he says, yeah, you know, everything's like a wheel, you know, it goes around. And that's kind of something that harkens back to what I mention all the time with the Stephen King Dark Tower series. There was a saying in there, and they had their own kind of language with certain things, and the gunslinger would always talk about Ka, K-A, and Ka was like, it was almost like karma and fate, you know, but he would say Ka is like a wheel, you know, and I never knew what that meant when I was younger, but as I understood when I got older, it means that things have a funny way of connecting themselves and kind of coming full circle when you least expect them to. So anyway, then it goes to the Straw Hats, and they are all, the commotion has passed, it seems like, and we just kind of see these close-up views of all of them, and they're all like, and they're all gasping for breath as they're laying there. And this is something that I experienced when I'm from Chicago, the Chicagoland area. I went to visit a friend in Denver a couple years ago, and I experienced the climate sickness or whatever from the air being thinner up there, and it takes a couple of days to kind of get used to it. And I'm assuming that's what they're experiencing, because they're all kind of gasping for breath. Things kind of pull back and pull out a little bit, and we see, and someone's like, I don't know if maybe it was Zoro or somebody's like, oh man, is everybody here, you know? They're kind of showing different faces and this and that, and they're like, yeah, but Usopp's not breathing. They're like, somebody give him mouth to mouth. And then Sanji goes, okay, I'll give Nami mouth to mouth. And just little quirks like that crack me up. And then you wind up seeing in the next page, as things are as they're going and you're getting Usopp up and going and everything, you see this thing where Zoro's like, looks at Sanji, he's like, did you call me an idiot? Or Sanji looks at Zoro and says, did you call me an idiot? And he's like, I don't remember. And just the constant bickering between those two is great too. So anyway, so Usopp's up and about. They show this cool double page spread over here, and it's really just kind of neat because it's like the sea of white. It's like they're actually on this sea of clouds. And honestly, I thought that they were going to go up there and they were going to crash land on some sort of island, right? But it's actually like a sea of clouds. So anyway, Usopp goes and he's just like, oh yeah, sea of clouds, cool. Yeah, Captain Usopp's going to test this sea out. And they're like, no, Usopp, wait. He dives over the side and he's like, oh, it's just a sea, you know. And as he's swimming down into this sea of clouds, he's like, oh, the visibility's crap, and it seems like it's very thin. I'm moving very quickly, because it's like clouds that they're floating on, right? And I tell you, it's so much fun, the adventure. You just got to suspend disbelief and just realize and just go with it and think and just take it for what it is, which is great. You know, just the majesty and just the fun of the adventure. So Usopp's going down and down, and then it goes back up onto the ship, and they're like, Usopp's not coming back up, you know, he's been gone for a while. They're like, maybe he fell through the clouds, which was the first thing I thought of when he jumped in there. So Robin's like, Luffy, stretch out your arm, you know, and get him. And Luffy's like, yeah, but I can't see anything. I can't see where I'm shooting it, you know. Robin goes, let me take care of that. And this is where we already see her value to the crew, which is really cool. And the way you can explore her powers, I just think are endless, man. Cool ways, you know, perverted ways, whatever. But anyway, this way is cool. On Luffy's hand and on his arm appears an eye. She's able to sprout a limb, I guess, or a body part, an orifice, a nose, an eye, or whatever. Maybe a breast. You could think of all kinds of goofy things. But anyway, with the eye on his hand as he's going down through, so she's able to see and kind of guide him down through. So he goes and pops down through what looks like somewhere down there in the clouds. Maybe through the bottom of it, I don't know. And she's like, oh, wait, there's Usopp, you know. So he goes, wait, and Luffy goes, where? He doesn't know, right? Well, it's cool because as long as she has eye contact with it, she goes and makes a bunch of arms sprout out of Usopp connecting to each other like a chain of arms to connect, and then to connect to Luffy's arm. And then Luffy's like, and she's like, pull him up, and Luffy's like, oh, and it seems like he's having a lot of trouble pulling him up, so I don't know if this sea, even though it's a sea of clouds, affects him the same because of his devil fruit, if it affects him the same as like the regular water sea. I'm not really sure about that, but he looked like he was much more winded than he should have been just from pulling Usopp up. But it could have been too just because of the thinness of the air, you know. So pulls him up and everything, is able to get him up, and as they go and pull him out, he's like, just a little more, and pulls him up and out. Pulls him up, right? And he comes kind of flying up, and there's this giant looking freaking octopus. It's like 100-foot, you know, like this Godzilla-like monster. And they're like, oh my god, it wants Usopp for lunch. And Zoro's like, I'll take care of it. And he jumps up and, you know, a few slashes. Next thing you know, you see this thing, and its whole like arm just sort of like explodes, you know, in blood and everything else. And I was thinking, wow, Zoro's just a badass, right? They wind up explaining something to the effect of, you know, it's like a lot of the, you wind up finding out very shortly after that a lot of the animals up here, these creatures, have just kind of adapted to the thin air and have become more buoyant and light and everything because of that. So just that's just how evolution works. Your life will find a way and all that type of stuff. So for any of you that saw Jurassic Park. But, so it's kind of neat. And then you go and Usopp is on the ship, and they're just like, Jesus, you know, getting us in. And he's like, oh, there's something in my pants. So they're like, this is just not your day, is it? So they go and they pull this fish out of his pants, and then Robin goes and she's like, yeah, that's, it must be a flying fish. That's Noland the liar, you know, talked about this flying fish, you know, skyfish, in his journal. And you see this thing, and it's neat because instead of scales, it's got like feathers, and its body has flattened out to make it easier and more buoyant, because this sea, obviously being like of clouds, it's not like water where you're buoyant just because of the air inside your body or what have you. That has nothing to do with it. You know, it has to do with being more streamlined and aerodynamic and being able to kind of catch the wind and stay aloft, right? And that's why the octopus exploded and everything else. So it's funny, as they're examining this fish, next panel, Sanji's like, oh yeah, I cooked it up. It's real good. It's real good. And Luffy's like, the fish is good. And now he's like, what the hell? We were still examining that. And they're like, oh yeah, it's real tasty. Son of a bitch, crazy, you know. So anyway, so then Chopper goes and pulls out the binoculars and goes because he thinks he sees something on the horizon, or he wants to take a look, you know, because they want to know like what's going on. Where is this sky island they're talking about, you know? And so Chopper goes and pulls out the binoculars and looks, and he sees this ship in the distance. This other, it looks like a pirate ship, and I'm trying to get a bead on it, you know, looking at the. And then all of a sudden, man, the next panel just like it gets just like torn in half. And it's, what the hell, you know? And Chopper's like, oh, and he's all scared. He drops the binoculars, you know, and you're thinking, the fuck is going on, right? And he doesn't want to tell them, but then he goes and he mentions something. He's like, there's a giant bull running on the clouds, you know, that just destroyed that ship, and it's headed straight for us. And they're like, what? Chopper, what are you talking crazy for, right? So all of a sudden, sure as shit, they do, and they show this guy, and it's not a bull, it's just somebody that's dressed like a bull. And I should have had my page saved over here, but I didn't, so unfortunately, it is what it is. There, he's right in there. Let's see if we can get that in there. So they kind of show this guy. They don't really give you any real great shots of it, I guess. It's okay. They show this cool mask, and they're just like, what do you want? He's like, I'm going to get rid of you. And he's got some kind of crazy looking like bull mask on or whatever. So then you go and you see the monster trio, right? Going, you know, Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji just kind of going man up and be like, all right, fine. Hey, you want to do that? Cool with me. Well, this thing goes in the matter of 3 panels, just goes and lays everybody out. Just goes right through all of them, you know? And I think it's Nami was like, what the hell is wrong with you 3? You're getting your asses kicked. There's 3 of you, you know? So then out of nowhere, and the chapter ends with this, which is pretty cool, out of nowhere, because you're thinking, man, this thing is just decimating them. And it took down the 3 like they were nothing. This is going to be a tough fight, especially because if it does anything to the ship, they're going to fall back down through the clouds. And the last page, though, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, on top of this cool-looking, majestic bird, this knight-looking character appears with like a javelin, just like, and just smashes right into it, into that bull-looking thing. And then it looks like he's, you know, he's hurt or he's wounded or whatever. He's out of the way. And then there's like, who are you? You know, and he's like, the Sky Knight, right? Oh, is it Pai, the Sky Knight? Pai, the Sky Knight? I didn't even see the Pai as first. I thought it was his bird talking. But so that was definitely a very cool thing and a neat way for the chapter to end off. So my chapter question is what do you think about the explanation so far? And I'm sure we'll find out more about this whole like sea, this sky sea, the sea in the clouds, cloud sea, whatever you want to call it. To me, like I said, I mean, it's completely crazy and fantastical, but at the same time, it's like that childlike, you know, I shouldn't say childlike, but it is. It's that child inside you that just you believe. You just want to believe in all this stuff, and I just think it's so cool. And brings a smile to my face, you know. And my family and I, we've been religiously watching One Piece every night, and we're actually we're about halfway through the Drum Island arc now, and it's cool because getting to see their faces light up as they see all the different things, and then me getting to see animated some of these different scenes that maybe and I'm looking at something like, oh God, I can't believe I said that in my review. I said that person's name wrong, or I completely mistook that fight for something it wasn't, and so it's neat to see that stuff, but just to see this the wonder and amazement in their eyes, and to see them like they woke up this morning and we got snowed in over here, it was like the foot of snow, and they're like, oh, can we watch One Piece? And it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you know. So we sit down, we watch a couple episodes, have breakfast. So definitely a fun time, and like I said, that's one of the reasons it puts a big smile on my face, because one of the neatest things that's happened to me, I guess, in recent memory. So remember to leave your answer to my question about the sky sea, the sea of the clouds, sea in the clouds, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you have not done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, nation. This oh-so-busty picture of Nami was penciled and inked by myself and colored with Copic markers by hand by Selena Parch.